Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross, as we are weekly, Tuesdays again. Hope everybody's doing well. We're back at it. How's it going, bud?
Really well. I'm watching night one of Super Dirt Week, and it's the quarter midgets and mic rods in Oswego on the infield track. And there's one mic rod, it looks like it was homemade, and he just hit the wall. And they got him going again, but the right side of the axle is so bent that the little kid's bobbing up and down as he drives away because the thing is absolutely twisted.
We got an action-packed show. We got a few things to wrap up, a couple things to set up. Obviously, going into Autumn Colors Classic, our first kick at that with G-Force this weekend. So if you're not going to be there, you can catch it live there on G-Force. And then, of course, Super Dirt Week, as Adam mentioned. We're big dirt guys, and we usually try and get down there. Both of us were there last year at some point. I got sick and came home early, but either way, a lot of our friends are down there from the dirt side, so we wish them the best. We'll talk about Flamborough. We'll talk about Humberstone. We'll talk about the duel on the dirt, the Action Sprint Tour finals, all kinds of stuff going on. But before we get too deep into it, Adam and I got behind the wheel Sunday. We're bringing on Captain Chris. Chris Lawrence is going to join us. Chris rents out these cars for BT Racing, and what a great experience it was. We got to hang out with the Thorns, mostly Wade and Mark, kind of were our crew guys and took care of us. And what a great deal it was, Adam. We had a great time down there, and if anything, it gives us a whole new respect for what the drivers go through. You know, we sit up on our ivory tower and spout off about how terrible they're making, how terrible decisions they're making on the track, but it's not that easy when you're out there actually doing it yourself. So the pure stocks were a handful, and interesting but fun still, and 50 cars, so we had to qualify. We didn't qualify, but we tried our best.
I had an absolute blast. Those cars were a lot more difficult to drive than I thought they would be. Like, there was a lot more going on in the corners. The track was slick. And we did it on a whim, really. Like, if we were to do it right, those cars should have qualified for that race. Those cars were good enough to qualify for that race on Sunday. The drivers were not. But we learned. I hit the wall a couple of times, both ends of the track. Might have hit a couple other cars, or they hit me. It depends how you look at it. And you crash tested yours.
Yeah, yours came back. I think you had a harder hit than me, but my car looked way worse than yours at the end of the race.
So the funny thing, I watched Pedal Power's video, and they focused on me probably way too much in that race. But I was always in battles. But they turned to the leaders on the lap when I clobbered the wall in turn 2, so you don't get to see it, which was very nice of them.
Yeah, I got going down the backstretch into 3. It got a little loose on me and a lot loose on the outside. I started to spin out. Started to get corrected, and I got clobbered in the nose there, and see it pushed the whole rad and everything over. But the car finished the end of the LCQ. I finished a few spots back then I started, but it was fun. Let's bring Chris Lawrence on now. Chris brings this brigade of cars to the track every week, and has had a host of drivers from the rookiest of rookies to the most veteran drivers. And we know Chris because he also is with his brother Joe on the APC Late Model Tour. Chris, welcome to the program. Thanks for letting us drive your cars. Sorry about the one I wrecked on you, sir.
That's all right. Thanks for having me. Yeah, they're not too bad. They're little battle torn, but that happens at the end of the season and stuff like that. So both cars are good enough. We'll regroup, rebuild them over the winter. They'll be back out.
Do you get emotionally attached to any of your cars, Chris?
No, I've kind of learned early on. I like to put people in cars, and I've kind of had that go both ways for me. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes we write off cars. So, no, I try not to get too attached to them. Makes it easier to sell them, keep them going, and that sort of thing. But it happens eventually.
Chris, tell us a little about maybe the Coles notes on how you got to be taking 9 to 12 cars to some events lately. Was it a desire to help build up the pure stock division, or the bone stocks at Delaware? I should say bone stock, pure stock, basically the same thing depending on where you're racing. Was it that, or was it, hey, it was cool to bring three? Can we do four? Can we do six? Can we do 10? And it just kept getting more and more. How did this all come together? Where you're taking all this cavalcade of machinery to the tracks? It's a shit ton of work.
Yeah, it definitely spiraled out of hand a little bit there on me at the end of the season. This was only my third year doing the rentals and stuff like that, so we had always kind of taken a couple cars, but usually in the past, each car has kind of had its own driver and a couple crew that go with it. Like this is the first time we've really brought extra cars with essentially no extra support. So um, I committed to more cars than I have in the past at the beginning of the season. I think we kind of committed to running. I think I had seven or eight registered cars at Delaware by the end of it. And my goal was to try and keep that on track for the whole season. There was a few extra cars here and there over the course of the year, and I've bought back some of the cars that I have built in the past, and I've sold some of the cars that I had in the fleet. So we just kind of we acquired cars through the season, and it just kind of kept building and building, and I didn't want to see a car sit in my backyard on a race day.
What's the perfect, and that's a great point. What's the perfect number of cars for your business model, for if you were to think, man, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. What's the perfect number of cars for you to haul to a track for an
One.
event?
One. No.
That
No,
business model isn't going to work, my friend.
no, that's just me going back to racing. No, I don't really want to set a limit on it. Really, at Delaware, uh, three or four is kind of the I can manage that with I have two trailers and two car dollies, so with some help of some extra trucks, that's not really a huge stretch. Any of the races and other tracks where we kind of have to go down the road, it's a little more of a challenge logistically. I had great support, a lot of great teammates, friends that stepped up, and people that came out to hook up the trailers and help me get cars to the track. It's just a little harder to ask somebody to haul an hour and a half out of their way or spend the day at a racetrack on their Saturday. That's kind of a racer's deal. Not everybody wants to do that.
It's pretty wild what you and your little team has done here with both the late model to be contending for that championship against some of the biggest teams in the province, and still running all these other bone stocks, man. It's crazy. Chris, we have Autumn Colors coming up. It's our first kick at it. My first time ever being there. Adam's been there in the past. Why should fans go to Peterborough this Saturday and check it out?
So I am probably not the best person to be promoting this race. It's actually going to be my first laps around Peterborough this weekend. I've been there a handful of times with the APC cars, and I went and checked out Autumn Colors. I think the past 2 years I've gone, and um, it's a great long weekend. It's a great way to finish off the season. They have every class represented. They do a really good job. Everybody gets time trials qualifying. It's a bit of a long race for some of the racers, but a lot of guys are using it to blow off some steam and unwind. It's more of a get together with friends and enjoy the weekend, and you race cars on Sunday, and that's kind of a bonus.
Why is this your first time up there racing? I mean, you've been around the sport long enough.
Yeah, I talked to quite a few people this year, and I was late to the party with the traveling stuff. I never really went down the road until about 5 years ago, and never really ventured. Like, I still have to get to full throttle sometime in the next year, I guess, now that we're done this season. But um, we always kind of had a few tracks that we went to, and Peterborough just never was on that list. probably one of the longer hauls, and I've just never made my way there.
I got one for you, Chris. Okay, you were the one who was ranking, make Delaware great again. I think they've done a great job the past couple seasons. What's something you want to see them fix up, or something that they've done great? From the Delaware side of things, what's your thoughts on Captain Chris's State of the Union on Delaware Speedway? Where do we stand with that?
Man, I'm gonna keep it positive. Those guys have done phenomenal. The top of the hill stuff is amazing compared to some of the years past. They're doing a great job for the fans, the spectators side. They have an ice cream truck up there. So, I mean, you really can't beat that. As far as the racing goes, uh, it was a little rough in some of the divisions. I mean, that's not anybody at the track's fault. Everybody can kind of, they're in control of their own race car. Sometimes you just get a little hot headed, and that's how the night goes. Um, for me, I'd like to see them come in hard at the beginning of the season on the entry level tech. There's a lot of people that go around. This car's got this, and this car's got that, and I say put up the protests. If you want to throw $50 in protest, you take your car, piece of paper, $50, and you go argue somebody else's car. Tear them both down. The rule book's the rule book. You should be able to call anybody out on any rule. You should be able to check anything in the book on any given night. And I think the couple of guys that have some stuff in their cars that they know they shouldn't have in there, they're going to be mad. But you're going to gain 3 or 4 entry level guys on the bottom end that are going to come out with a legal car because they know they're racing against everybody else that should be held to that same level.
And you're preaching
it
to the
is what
choir,
it is, and
Chris.
maybe yeah, like you can't. Everybody's gonna try and bring out the best race car they can, whether it's all black and white or a little gray. But that's protected aside, and they did a good job this year. I just would have liked to see them come out harder sooner, so that Tech didn't decide a points battle. I would have liked to see if you felt like you needed certain parts in your car, then you didn't need to run for the point title, and you would have been out early. And then the guys that are in it for the long haul can race it out for points, and those are the ones that deserve the wins, deserve the checkers, and deserve the championship at the end of the year.
No, totally. Well said there. And I think that's a class where if you keep control of that class, that's where the growth is. Everywhere. All over Ontario. That's the class that can take off. It can keep the back gate healthy in years, and it goes in fits and spurts, right? Like there's years where the late models get a little lighter, super stocks get light. Your pure stocks, your bone stocks, that entry level class should always be pretty strong, just because it's so damn affordable to come out.
Yeah, I mean, and the tracks are doing a good job. The rules aren't super far apart. It'd be nice to see Delaware do a few things to get a little closer to necessarily maybe detune them a little bit. There's a few things here and there, but again, at the end of the day, it's what the track wants to run and the program they want to put on. As a racer, I'm going to go to the races that I want to go to. I mean, we've got cars, we're going to racetracks. So I mean, we're just going to be looking for fun next year, I think, chasing some trophies.
Chris, before we let you go, what can you tell us about your Autumn Colors Classic plans? Are you guys taking late model? I know you're taking a couple of the bone stocks. What is the Lawrence Brothers Racing plan for the weekend?
I'm not sure what Joe's plan is. We've finished off the late model for the season. We're on a borrowed motor. I'm not running on borrowed time. You definitely to race that car well in the class the way it is, you have to take a team and be dedicated to that car. we've done that this season. The team I had were fantastic. We had our fun. So now I think we're just gonna go with the bone stocks. We're gonna basically go back beer league racing. We're gonna go for some fun. Enjoy the Thanksgiving weekend with all the other racers, and if I make the show, I make the show. If not, I will be the number one cheerleader in the beer tent.
Are you willing to share how excuse me? Are you willing to share how much prize money you took home Sunday from Flamborough?
That's right there on the wall. The it was we took first and second. They're posted. It was just a little over 2,500, and then we 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 had cars all across the board. So unfortunately, Phil got in an incident early and knocked the rat out of the car. Um, so he ended up taking home last place tow money, and then uh, the couple cars that didn't qualify, the Casellis were great enough that they gave everybody gas money for coming out. Um, so it offset the cost of my couple Flamburgers we bought. And then I was lucky enough. I actually won the 50-50. So all in
No
all,
way.
it was a great weekend for me. So I really have no complaints.
Now, wait, I
That's
saw you
awesome.
run over to the 50-50 guys before the draw. Like, they were excited to see you, or you were excited to see them. So clearly you invest in that program.
Well, no, actually, that I try and buy tickets every time, and I usually never hear what the draw is, and I figure, at well, my luck, it usually doesn't matter. But I went over specifically that time because Don from the Morneau's racing crew, he always supports all the 50-50s, and they were standing there, and he said, I got it. I got this one. And I said, you know what? I don't care. I want the first ticket after yours. So he spent his fair share and bought the 50-50 tickets, and I handed over $10 right after him. And my very first ticket was the one that won. So he had the ticket before. I told him no matter what, if I won or not, I was coming running past him in the stands, screaming like I did win. So then when I saw the 50-50 people and I seen them over at the picnic table looking through the tickets, I ran over. I said, yeah, you don't even have to bother. I told you I won. And then I ran off joking. And then I looked at my ticket and I actually did win.
That's funny.
That's awesome, man. Way to support the cause.
Chris, you're a friend of the class, a friend of the Speedways, man. We appreciate it. We need more guys like you in this industry. You know, from the top to the bottom, you seem to have it covered. We got to witness your attitude firsthand, and it's a great thing, man. We look forward to doing a lot of good things with you in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for coming out and giving the pure stocks a try. It's good to know we have guys like you promoting that have an inside view now.
We're
It's
not
not
done.
easy.
We need a round two. We got to redeem ourselves.
All right, call Maudsley up. We'll make it a show.
All right,
Let's
man.
do it.
Have a good one.
We'll see you this weekend, Chris.
Sounds good.
Chris Lawrence, car owner for Brother Joe, who won Frosttoberfest Bone Stock Race. Picked up $2,023 as we saw on the check on the wall. There.
It was a great.
Congratulations to Lawrence.
It was a great race. Really good race. Like the top four were nose to tail swapping spots. It was intense.
Cars all around, man. It was tough for us. You know, practice. You roll off, you're like 39th in practice. You're like, oh man, I got a lot of work to do here today. You know, my highlight was I was in the slowest group, I think, but I was fastest of the slowest guys. So I was the provisional pole for Group One, anyways, and I got sent to the tech shed and got to say hi to Ryan Smith and Glenn Hills, which was kind of neat. And I'm like, hey, if nothing else happens, I got sent to tech today for a good reason. So we'll take it.
And I heard your name announced from where I was sitting in line to go out. And yeah, you outqualified me, man. And that's after the way the first practice went. I actually felt bad for you. I'm like, man, he's a fish out of water. This isn't good. And then you got better and better. You outqualified me, which isn't saying much, but bragging rights, it's a big deal.
I felt good till I backed it into turn 3, and then got got smacked in the nose there and pushed that whole front end over. Thankfully, Chris wasn't too pissed about it. But, it's bad when you're pulling off the track and everybody in the pits is just staring at the nose of the cars you're driving by like, oh, man, I really screwed this thing up. And then you get in and the thorns are like, yee, everybody's kind of got the grill. And I got out, Ash and Dickie popped the hood. He goes, oh, no, we're just going to cut the whole front end off. It's still good. Chris comes up, it's good. I'm like, that's still good? Okay, man. No one was mad, but hey, it is what it is. We have Matt Billings online, but before we jump into Matt, one other incident we just want to talk quickly about here. Jared Fitzpatrick in practice got over. We got a clip that he shared on Instagram today. Roll that, Spencer. I mean, Adam, this shows you why you got to always pay attention no matter where you are. Jared Fitzpatrick up over the wall, driving through and right down where everybody seems to stand there in the pits. Show it one more time, Spence. Whew. Jared got out. No one got hit. They went home, got the 84, rebounds with a good finish in his own car. But, wow, Adam, still craziness. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Glad that he climbed out on his own. That car is pretty twisted up, and that car is not a spring chicken by any stretch. He was sore, but what a racer he is. Went home and got his car and came back and competed, and that's what it's all about. Well, it's not all about having two cars to choose from, but kudos to JR because he could have taken his ball and gone home.
Yeah, let's send a shout out to wrap up everything at Flamborough. Good job by everybody in the Flamborough management staff. Great job by Mike Schmidt and all your helpers who put this thing together to give everybody great support. All the race teams that go out and support Flamborough, it's always a great event. And Mother Nature playing along, 2 gorgeous days for them. They deserve that after some of the years they've had. So kudos to Flamborough. We appreciate everything you did. Also going on Friday, Saturday was the Fall Classic at Humberstone, which included a duel on the dirt finales for the Thunder Stocks and Mini Stocks, sponsored by Instapanels, and the Pinty's National Tour for the Action Sprint Tour. Round 7 and 8 finished off the Crate Sprint Tour for the season. We have Matt Billings with us now. Matt Billings went on to win 4 out of the 8 national events at the end of the year and grabbed the national title for the Pinty's Action Sprint Tour. Matt, welcome to the program. Driving for Ryan Huntsinger as a hired gun. Things went pretty good. You got to be real happy with how your 2023 Crate racing season went, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, first off, just thanks for having me on the show, guys. I really appreciate it. But yeah, the way we finished out the year was great. I mean, we'd always been gelling pretty good, but we finally were able to put some really good results together on the Action National Tour, and just what a great way to end the year, and to be competitive all across the province it was pretty cool.
How good did it feel? I know Humberstone was this weekend, and that had to be great to win the championship, but how good did it feel to come to Ohsweken and beat the Crate class at their home track, which has really been hard to do for any of the Eastern drivers? Yeah,
I mean, every result and every win is definitely, that's something to be proud of. But that definitely that one this weekend, especially after beating Mike, I think I said there in Victory Lane, he's just good, and he definitely had an amazing year, and he's a great race car driver in himself, and he definitely had that place figured out this year. But we came in and we kept working and to do it on a 2-lap duel, fair and square. I stuck what I had to stick. I gave him a line, but I definitely didn't give him much more than that line. And it was just definitely a 2-lap duel for the win. So that was definitely a bit of a chest pump, and pretty proud of what we accomplished moment.
Matt, a lot was made about Mike and his skill or lack thereof. A lot of traction control talk this year. He had to go through tech after the Nationals. We see a lot of modified drivers or sportsman-type drivers come into this deal and just be good at it. Why does that type of background translate to sprint cars so well?
Yeah, well, for one, like I've raced against Mike before, and I've watched him plenty of times before. I didn't, I wasn't really buying into too much of the traction control hype. Mike's just he's just good, and I mean it's racing modifieds. is definitely, there's a lot of car control that you need, especially when we used to run them with torsion bars in the rear. I can't say too much about the coilovers, but there's just a lot of, it's a big, heavy car. Everything's moving around. I mean, you got to keep the car underneath you. And when you cut your teeth at a place like Maryville, I mean, that's just a track I just cannot get around myself. So, I mean, when that's where you cut your teeth, no wonder you're good when it comes to a dry, slick place and you can hold the car underneath you. I mean, that's what it is. So, I mean, that when you're up against that type of stuff, you got to really up your own game and just be okay with understanding that that's what you got to do.
Matt, can you talk to us a little bit about your racing career? Because when you were young, you ran Sportsman, you won at Super Dirt Week, you got into modifieds. I mean, you were traveling the world and doing great things. Now, say 10 years later, you've got a completely revamped life, career, but you're racing great sprint cars and hopefully having fun. Are you satisfied with where you are and what you're able to do these days compared to what you started with?
Yeah, so I mean, I started out, to be honest, not really having too big a goal. I mean, Adam, I met you when I was quite young, and I mean, you gave me a little bit of opportunity to get down North Carolina with the Race 101 program. But, you know, I had the privilege and opportunity, you know, obviously racing with my family and stuff like that, to do a lot of big block and modified racing and be fairly successful, maybe not as successful as what I maybe hoped or whatever. It depends on how you look at it, but I think we did well. And then just, you know, just kind of life happens, and I guess, you know, relationships get tense and things like that. And, you know, I think just some of the fun got away with it. And I had an opportunity to go sprint car racing with Mike Stelter at the end of 2016 and then the 2017 and 2018. And sprint car racing, to be honest, I always liked sprint cars. Like, they're just, how could you not like a sprint car? As soon as you go watch them one time around the racetrack, you're just hooked, right? So they're just something that I always liked, and to get the opportunity to do that and run in Central New York with Mike and with a lot of the ESS guys was definitely a huge privilege and a huge, you know, I just very thankful for the opportunity. 2019, we were planning on doing that as well. But just, you know, kind of, again, life got in the way. I got married that year. A bunch of buddies got married. It was kind of the first year of my whole life that I didn't really do any race car stuff, and kind of put, you know, life. I bought a house. I did all these things. And then, you know, COVID happened. I met up with Ryan one night at Brockville Speedway just to introduce myself. And he asked me to drive his car at the end of 2020, and we've been racing ever since. And I really can't thank Ryan enough for allowing me to drive his car and trusting me with his equipment, and with the story and the history that you know, that Ryan has, you know, being a Hunsinger, being related to the Slacks. I mean, it's a huge privilege to be able to be a part of that racing family and story from Southern Ontario. It just, you asked if I'm satisfied with where I am, and I'd say, yeah, I'm having fun. I get to drive a race car. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be a Matt Shepard or a Matt Williamson. I think that time might have passed on me, but I'm loving what I'm doing, and you know, we're winning races and getting an opportunity to do really cool stuff.
We see a picture of Matt from Victory Lane on the weekend there, where he picked up the national championship, and what a great driver it was. Matt, let's talk a bit about, you know, crates in the East. You know, Brockville started it. Now Can-Am's picked it up. It's been a stronghold here in a great division at Ohsweken. You know, you always worry when you start something in another region. I think the tour's helping hopefully sway a few more drivers into the mix to get you guys into some bigger races and a bit of more of a reason than just a weekly show. Are the crates going to fly down in the East, do you think?
I hope they do. I think I've talked a couple times just about the positive I think that the class offers just for all skill sets. You know, I know racing is an expensive sport, but, you know, relatively it's a really good class. I mean, you guys see it every night at Ohsweken. Where else do you go see 40 plus cars in the pit area on a weekly show? You know, like that's amazing what's been built for the class. And I think, you if people give it a try, they'll see that it's good racing. It's fun. The cars are fun to drive. I mean, I'm a big I just talk here. I am talking about sprint car racing, but yeah, I'm a big supporter of just sprint car racing in general. And yeah, when it's got a crate engine and we got the same gears, there's a lot of it. It's driver. It's how you're set up. It's all these other things that come into it. Nobody's spending crazy amounts of money to go faster.
Who comes up with the setups? Like, do you and Ryan get along well when it comes to talking about what the car needs and what you want to do with it? Because Ryan Hunsinger, I mean, he and I go way back, Matt, to when we were kids. He's a quirky dude, right? Like, he's 100% racer, and he gets in that groove. You guys able to work things out?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think that's one of the reasons why we work well together. We just, we have a similar outlook on racing, similar, from getting to work with them and learning more about them. I think we have a similar background to racing in a way, come from similar types of paths, and I just think, we just work well together. I mean, Ryan has his opinions on things. I have my opinions on things. I mean, but at the end of the day, we just want to be, we want to go win some races and be fast. And, our goal is to win the championship. So, I mean, it's whatever we can do to do that. And at the same time, have a good time. We both got to go to work on Monday morning too.
Now let's switch up gears a little bit. Adam and I were big Super Dirt Week guys. You've been at Dirt Week. You had some great runs at the mile. What are your thoughts on it? For me, I'm a little bit, I don't know, man. I miss the mile big time. Oswego just doesn't cut it. The racing may be better, but the whole vibe and atmosphere is a little bit different. What are your thoughts? Are you missing Dirt Week, and are you wishing you were there in a big block modified this weekend?
I definitely miss Super Dirt Week. I definitely miss the mile. Like you said, it had its own special vibe, and like, where else do you get that? I know they're trying to replicate the best they can with Oswego, but the mile definitely holds a special place in a lot of Northeast dirt racing fans, and rightfully so. It should. It's a special place. It's got it is what it is. But no, I mean, yeah, I'd like to do anything. If I had an opportunity, I would definitely enjoy it. But actually, this week I'm going down and I'm crewing on my buddy Jarrett Herbison's car. Jarrett helped me when I was racing the big block, so it's kind of come full circle. He's putting me to work, and I don't know exactly what he wants me to get doing, but I'll get my hands dirty and do the best I can.
Yeah. Now, am I right? You won Syracuse one year, didn't you?
Yeah, I won the sportsman race in 2009. So that was kind of
2009. That's what I wanted to ask, was what year it was.
Yeah, so man, 2009 we won the sports race. Yes, I was 16 that year, so it's definitely flying. I turned 30 this year. A lot of going around.
You're way over the hill.
I'm just having a good time and just fun.
You're a great champion. You're a great representative of what that class is about, what we want it to attract. Because at 30 years old, you're a savvy veteran, Matt. You've been around the block. You've done a lot of things in racing. So you're a fantastic image of what the champion of that division should be and what the kids need to strive for. And congratulations. And I appreciate you. Your interviews have been fantastic. They've been genuine, and you're truly excited when you get to Victory Lane. I just think it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't thank even like you guys enough for even putting this stuff to even give us an opportunity to do this stuff. It's it takes a big team. Like, we all know that. We've been around racing a long time. There's a lot of moving parts than just cars going in a circle, and a lot of people play a big important role in making this all work. And without, like I said, without having Ryan, without having you guys getting the series set up, without doing shows like this, and all the G-Force TV, I mean, that's what makes it work. So I really appreciate it as well.
Right on.
Hey,
Thanks,
Clint, I've got another.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got another question, if you don't mind. Matt, obviously you remember going to Race 101, and part of what we focused on And Clint, you got to picture this. You got a bunch of young racers who all want to make it to the top, whether it's to the World of Outlaws or whether it's to NASCAR. We had a bunch of young kids who all wanted to be racers. And much of what we taught was try to live your best racing life. Like go out there and just do what you want to do, but you don't have to race in the Daytona 500 to have a great life in racing or to go out and learn and try to be the best at whatever you choose to do. Matt, does that make a little bit more sense now, almost 15 years later, to the things that we were trying to, and we would never say, look, you're not going to make it to NASCAR or you're not going to make it to the Indy 500 because nobody knows. But the goal was you can still be a role model and love the sport and be considered, at the top of your game. Does it make more sense now looking back?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like I said, when I was doing the modified stuff, I definitely had big goals and aspirations that I didn't necessarily know how much work went into that. And I'm not scared of the work. I'm just, some things don't work. And like I said, just to be involved with the sport, I love this sport. I think it teaches you so much, and there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of different hats. Like I said, we've all been around it. There's so much going on, but yeah, definitely that's what I was saying. It's I'm very happy and very content on what I'm doing right now. Yeah, if I could run a big block or a 360 or a 410 sprint car, yeah, hell yeah, I want to drive the thing, and hell yeah, I think I can wheel the thing. But at the same time, I like winning great sprint car races too, and trying the best for the championship. I got a good owner. I got great people, great support. My wife, my family. It's just, I'm having a good time just doing what I'm doing. So, like I said, just can't thank everybody enough that supports me and believes in me.
Right on, Matt. On behalf of everybody with the Action Sprint Tour and Pinty's, you're going to be a great national champion. We appreciate what you do and coming and joining us here on the show here tonight. Congrats and enjoy it.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon. Matt Billings, your Action Sprint Tour national champion, presented by Pinty's. So we thank Pinty's for all they've done for us the past few years. I'll be working on some new stuff this coming off season, but we expect the Action Sprint Tour to be bigger and better as it always has been. Wrapping up the Fall Classic at Humberstone, that was their final run. We had the duel on the dirt, final two races, mini stocks and thunder stocks. Cole Hardy was able to grab the mini stock duel on the dirt championship, and then it came down to a tie between the big dog, Ryan Beagle. Now get a look at Cole Hardy on the 7C, and it came down to the big dog, Ryan Beagle, and Justin Ramsey as co-champions for the duel on the dirt Instant Panels Thunderstock Series. Anything you want to say about that, Adam?
No, congratulations. Great series. And folks, for those of you who go to the dirt track and don't really get out to the asphalt side, I hope you realize that people on the asphalt scene are watching. They're envious of the rules packages, the ability of these teams to be able to go to any track virtually and race their car and fit into the rules. Like it's a really cool thing that they've got going on. And Clint, do we want to talk about the altercations in the sprint car races, or do we not?
What I would say is we should just, I don't know, they're going to air tomorrow. So I haven't actually seen it with my own eyes to make a judgment call.
I haven't.
There was altercations. Brett Stratford and Mike Bowman got together. Stratford felt he was hard done by, waited for Bowman to come by and took him out as the leader, and there was some altercation in the pits, and that's what we know. So,
all right, let's save it till next week or the week after. But the part of the story that I like, Clinton, is the penalties, like the choices made by drivers, the instant repercussions in numerous ways, and then the longer term repercussions, whether it's the next day, the next week, moving on, and how your choices in a split second can make a huge difference. So we'll leave it at that. Enjoy the racing tomorrow night. I haven't seen on-track stuff from Friday either, but I enjoyed the hell out of Saturday night, and that's that.
Wizard, are we talking 8 o'clock both nights? Okay, so both nights will be 8 o'clock tomorrow, will be Friday night, and 8 o'clock Thursday will be Saturday night from the Fall Classic at Humberstone. There was definitely some fireworks in tomorrow night's show, so make sure you check it out during the Action Sprint Tour race and let us know what your own thoughts are. Mark Silva says he's not a fan of the co-champion idea. There should be some type of tiebreaker moving forward. That brings up a whole discussion about a lot of things, Adam. The two series that are close to us, we'll be talking about the Duel on the Dirt, and both the Action Sprint Tour are affected by regions or logistics, let's call it. So, for example, in the past, with the Duel on the Dirt series, you used to have to declare a home track. So whichever track you picked, you signed up and registered for the series, that's where you got your two home track races for. After the pandemic, it got opened up that each track has two home track races, and anybody can race at any home track and pick up home track points anywhere they want. You with me still? So if a Maryville guy wanted to go to Brighton on the Brighton home track night and collect points, he could for his home track points. So it's your best two home track point nights right here. But the argument was, here in the West, you have Humberstone, Maryville, and Ohsweken to choose from. So for a guy like Beagle, Bailey, it's a lot easier for them to pick. They have three choices of home tracks because of the region. And what we're saying is it's open to everybody, but realistically, the guys from Brighton aren't going to drive 3 hours to get that choice. So the choice is there, but it's not really there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Same thing happens with the Action Sprint Tour. We have East and West races, and it's your best races from anywhere. Well, the guys in the West are racing 35 drivers for their home track points, or the West Series races. The guys in the East are racing 8 to 12 drivers some nights. So there's a big advantage in the East. That's why you saw Mike Bowman drive down there, Brian Nanakoke drive down there, because instead of trying to fight 35 guys for your best 8 finishes or 6 finishes, you could take a cherry picking night, let's call it.
Is it worthwhile to come up with a bonus system, Clint, similar to what NASCAR does, but the number of cars in the field affect the points that you earn?
So 2 different situations. I'll address it from the Action Sprinter side first. I don't think so. I think if you look at our split, we had 9 and 11 from the East and West coming into the final weekend that were contenders for the National Tour. I thought it was really split down the middle. I think on paper it was fair, and at the end of the season it was fair. Why I think it still works out this way, Adam, is the guys in the West have a lot more experience with setup, sprint cars, doing that. The guys in the East are just jumping in a year or two and getting their feet wet. So I think, the smaller car counts down there, it seems to even itself out when we get to the middle. In a couple of years, if they don't pick up the car counts, yes, we may need that bonus system. So that's my opinion from the president's seat on why it works right the Action Sprint Tour right now. Back to the Duel on the Dirt series. So I can see that maybe something we have to look at. It is still open. We have to try and creatively schedule maybe the home track races down here when the Brighton folks would be alongside the NASCAR stuff at Ohsweken, for example, when everybody's in town anyways. So it's not that big of a deterrent to come down just for the one day. But let's address the bigger elephant in the room, the tiebreaker. Should there be a tiebreaker, Adam, or should we have co-champions? It's a good discussion. Comes up in a lot of different situations.
There should be a tiebreaker. It needs to be very meticulously thought out. It can't just be your best finish or number of wins because you might be racing against 8 cars instead of 40 cars. I think there should be a tiebreaker, personally. Much like a race.
I'm of the opinion that if both drivers race the same amount of events and everything is the same, and they end up even at the end of the day, they're even at the end of the day. Why are we going to go back and pull a stat that we don't normally do, or a 10-lap shootout that we would never do? I mean, if they end up with the same amount of points, they end up with the same amount of points. I don't think going back to, heat race wins, because then you get into all that. Well, what about this guy was in handicapping this week, this guy was in open draw? There's so many variables that can get any tiebreaker offside. In the sprint cars, what do we do? If there's a a tie for passing points, let's say, for 8th in passing points. The driver who drew the lower number in the pill draw gets the spot. That's bullshit. Just because you had a luckier hand when you walked in the gate than I did, shouldn't affect our performance on the track later. You know?
I agree.
So,
but I do like the thought that Dusty has. The tiebreaker would have to be combined races where everyone's, in theory, on the track at the same time and have the opportunity to be head-to-head, right? It was like you and I on Sunday. What a bummer we were in separate conties, because all we really wanted to do was be head-to-head and be able to say, haha, I'm better than you. And we really couldn't because we both sucked. But
I think we agreed, right? We were co-losers.
Exactly. And we were both smiling.
You qualified a couple of spots behind me, but then you finished a couple ahead of me in the LCQ. In the other LCQ, it is what it is. But look at, how about the second part of Dusty's comment? The only fair tiebreaker would be points in the combined races. If that's still tied after the co-champions, I thought he was saying even after we did it, they would still be tied this year. So, and then what do you do? Let's say they come out as a tie then. Now do we announce them tie, or do we go to a second tiebreaker? I don't think there's anything wrong with co-champs.
Yeah, you don't want it to be gimmicky. Like that draw, like the pill draw, that's gimmicky. There's nothing skill related involved, but it solves a problem, and 9 times out of 10 it's a non-issue. Although this year it was an issue because it put Mac DeMann on the front row and Jesse Costa 11th or something like that. Just circumstances. You always have to design things for the worst case scenario. And I don't care what topic we're talking about, whether it's the tire issue at Merrittville this year, whether it's rules that you're laying out in the off season. No matter what it is, you have to picture the worst case scenario and solve that. You don't have to solve problems when there aren't real problems. You've got to imagine what could go the most sideways and what would be the best way to handle it.
Yeah, I think those are great discussion points. I don't know. For some reason, I don't have a problem with co-champs. I think, look at the co-champs we got. It's like they're bums. We got the big dog and Justin Ramsey, 2 of the coolest dudes on each end of the Lake Ontario, who are going to promote this division better than anybody. I mean, how could the Duel on the Dirt series be upset with that? I think it's fantastic to have them both out there. And it just shows the parity of how great the Thunderstocks are.
And I get it. So let's take Flamborough, for example, on the weekend where you got those really cool igloos for trophies. How do you split one of them? Right? Like if there's something really unique involved, you've got a problem. If it's a matter of adding...
I picked up the Duel on Dirt trophies this week. So now I've got to take one of them back and get the second one changed into another first. Right? And the other dig is, first and second money get combined and split down the middle. So whoever would have been a champ would have, lost a little bit more than they would have had it gone the other way. So, like Dusty said, it would suck to have someone lose it to a tiebreaker. And that's the other way to look at it too. Where do you want to go from here? Autumn Colors, Adam, I'm excited. Our first kick at it. What do you got?
Once again, I want to thank the people who stopped by to chat. Mark, it was great. Mark Millard, it was great to chat with you this weekend. And it's fun. Some people introduce themselves and chat, and some people don't. Say, hey, I watched the show. I like this. I don't like... I haven't had anyone say they don't like much in quite a long time. We just meet people who enjoy having something to watch. And Clinton, you and I, when we have our conversations in the middle of the week or on a weekend when we're in the group chat and we're pissed off at each other. And, it's nice to go to the races and have people say, look, this is awesome. It breaks up the week or it breaks up the winter because it puts us at odds a lot more than it would have used to.
I think going to the races, having fun like we did on Sunday was cool to be on the other side of, the racing end of things. I think gave me a lot of respect for what these drivers go through, how hot it is in the car. Man, how much time you have to sit around and think about what's going to happen while you're in the lineup, waiting for every session to go out. it's a real game of hurry up and wait. You're rushing to get in, and then you're waiting to sit around, and then you're socialize for a couple minutes, and then you're on the rush again.
Did the flagman shake his flag at you at all on Sunday?
Oh, I'm sure he did a few times.
Yeah, I got the naughty stick waved at me. Yeah, there's so many things that you don't notice. Like you're just trying to survive and not screw up anybody else's day.
Yeah, I screwed up. I got loose on the outside and got knocked back.
Did you watch your consi on pedal power?
Yeah, it was painful. I only needed till the end of the back straightaway lap 1 to see where it all went away on me. But what else did I want to say about that? Mad respect to all the racers that go out there, the teams that put in the effort, because it's a full ass day, and I kind of get it. When we're on the management side, we're barking at drivers to get ready, and you realize how little time they have to do anything. Even though it's an all-day event, it still goes by so fast from session to session. It's crazy. Yeah, something else I wanted to add to that too, but we'll figure that out in a minute. Autumn Colors, Adam, we get into that this weekend. Every division in Ontario on the blacktop's going to be there. We'll be there working with Ben, Charlie, and Brendan on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Excited to be bringing the Autumn Colors Classic. It'll be live on G-Force and Racing America all weekend. So if you've got either of those, check it out. Obviously, come check us out on G-Force. So excited to be there. Any thoughts on Autumn Colors, Adam?
It's a great event. They're long days. Like I can remember being there, and you go out on the track and practice, and then you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. But it's fun. You know what it does? And I'll never forget this as long as I live. I won the feature for the hobby cars, the vintage modifieds in 1999 at Autumn Colors. And, I'm pretty happy. It's a big deal to me. Tom Walters, as I'm walking by, says, "Good race, good job out there." Other racers get a chance to watch other people's races at Fall Colors because there's so much downtime. Where crews quite often are so buried in what they're doing, they'll take the time to go up and watch other people's races. And people are curious, right? They hear about what's going on in other divisions and eyeballing other drivers. And I just think it's a neat dynamic, and it's not something you see every day. Like that's a special event vibe because there is a lot of downtime.
Yeah, if you see us around this weekend, come on up and say hi. My first kick at Peterborough in the Autumn Colors, so show us what we got to do to get it done. Yeah, I'm letting my Autumn Colors grow up. That's right, this weekend.
I can't believe people are all talking about you looking tired, because I used to, like when I was young, all the time. Are you stoned, man? No, I just have a dopey look on my face. This is my natural resting face.
I think it's the gray beard makes me look old and tired, maybe. I don't know. I'm just, hey, it's the first time all summer I haven't had to be on TV, and I haven't had to shave once, and it feels good to let it go and not have to be there scraping my face off. Let's talk Super, which we already talked about. The cost of racing. This was a post that Alan Johnson shared, and I caught on. Show the screenshot there, Spencer. It was a post talking about the second major team has dropped off one of the major late model tours, and this should be a wake-up call for, the sanctioning bodies and everybody involved. So the second team that's decided to scale back, and I feel there are more to come. Is it time to sit back and look at things that, at some things that doesn't change our on-track product, but get the cost back under control? I was told a couple of months ago by one leader of major series that it's too late. Well, then we have no racers and no tracks. Then what? Metal costs what it costs. We can't control that. There are some things that we can control. Start off at the very front of the car. Then pull the hood off and look between the frame rails. And lastly, even though I make my money and living off shocks, it's way out of hand. Lastly, I'm sorry, Hoosier, but tire costs itself are making the owners bow out. To me, these are simple facts. Let's look at the future, guys. Don't tell me it's too far gone and we can't control it, because we can't. We don't have to take away some innovation. That's part of the fun. Otherwise, we are like NASCAR. Let's work on it. And for those of you scared to hurt someone's feelings, shame on you. It's time we fix this deal. Adam, we're hearing more and more cries. The cost has always been part of this deal, but now we're hearing, more and more important vocals, important people in this series and in the racing world are saying, hey, it's time to scale this back. Now, we have divisions out there that are working their best to keep that, up being things like the Action Sprints were really hard to keep things like titanium and the cost of NASA-type products out of the deal as much as possible. But, man, can we say big-time short track racing?
It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take finding new revenue streams because the tire companies pay for these series to run their races. And it's one of the big expenses, right? So you've got to. I was really happy for Adam Lockwood because there was in the Grisdale Racing Products team because there was 31 cars at Delaware. That's a lot of tires they get to sell and service because there was a few APC races where the fields got a little slimmer. But maybe it's time to look at something different. I give Gord Bennett credit for bringing up Cobra Racing tires, and he's going to do some testing with them. We've got to think outside the box. We've got that. Watching those late models race at Flamborough on Sunday, they are so damn fast from front to back. They are pinned to the racetrack. You got to take some of the grip away, and I know it's going to change things, and it could cause more accidents and theories, more damaged fenders. But I think that those are things that you've got to look at. And what we've learned on dirt, what happens, Clinton, when you have a slippery racetrack? Then a $70,000 engine is no better than a $20,000 engine, or someone who's been holding their engine together with bubble gum and duct tape. Because once the track gets so slick, you can't put it to the ground. And I think that's awesome. We watched, not to pick on people, but we watched Kevin Pauls qualify for a sprint car race that I think paid $1,000 to start. That was a great deal. We watched Johnny Burbridge do the same thing. These are teams that race on a serious budget. Asphalt has not yet figured out a way to achieve that, but they need to. I think follow the NASCAR mentality, shorten these programs up enormously, shorten the amount of practice time these teams get. It's $1,000 a race. Someone told me to race Delaware. It was $1,000 in gasoline.
Yeah, that's crazy.
$1,000 in gas. And I mean, it was great. They paid $6,000 to the winner. Don't think that I'm coming down on APC. It's just what we're talking about because it's the best game in town. And they do some things so very well. Like the control they keep on the tires keeps these teams from getting out of control with messing with them if they were able to get them before they go to the races. There's things they do amazingly well, but I think they have to make some very hard decisions. And I think the super stock car counts this year probably illustrated that. Racers are their own worst enemies. If you leave a rule book that allows them to go out and spend stupid money, they are going to go out and spend stupid money. And then the next person's going to go spend stupid money, and they have the money to spend. Then the third person's going to go out who can't afford it and spend it anyway. Now you're putting good racers in bad positions because they can't help themselves.
Wow, look at you being all prolific and smart. What a way to end a Tuesday.
Sometimes I try. It's we want what's best for racing.
I don't know if I'm happy for you that Fletcher agreed with what you just said and said you're talking smart, or I should be scared shitless that he agrees with you and you guys are both on the same page. Either way, it's a freaky situation.
I didn't see that word.
It fades quickly off our screen here on our monitor, but it was there. Wes Shaw, off the top of my head here and looking at the schedule, Ontario Modified Racing Series heat start at 6 o'clock Friday, so I'm sure that's when we'll be on. Saturday, the racing kicks off at 4 o'clock, and then Sunday at 12:30. So I think we are at going to be 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 12:30 Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
And Clinton, the things that I'm saying are not new. I remember Gene Lee Gibson, great super modified racer back in the 80s, saying, take away that big damn right rear tire. The more rubber we have, the more money we're spending on our engines. Take away that grip, make us drive the cars, make us set up the cars. The more you can strip away, the more you put back onto the teams. And hey, I don't want to see, for a long time it was cute to see the whole field separated by like a tenth of a second. And the older I get, the more I realize that's not what racing was built on. Racing was built on, similar to what happened in F1 this year, is somebody stomping the field and other people having to get their shit together. I think we need to get away from wanting everyone to be exactly the same, although in the crate sprints it works. So what the hell am I talking about?
I don't want to see one guy go and stomp everybody. That's boring. And a shitty-ass race to call from the announcing seat, too. We want it tight and good all the way through, I'm thinking.
But the idea being, not everybody gets a trophy. Like, you don't need to set the rules so everyone's the same. Try to figure out a way that someone can be better than others, and they don't
Absolutely.
have to spend a fortune to do it.
Richard talking about dirt practices. Yeah, it's one thing that dirt tracks need to do a bit more. We can do it a bit more. We can maybe push Glenn to do that a few more times. We talk about that every year. Let's just quickly address Humberstone on the way out. We are ready to go to Humberstone. I know. Terry Vince, the owner, asked us not to broadcast, was worried it would hurt his live crowd. So, that wasn't a G-Force decision. It was on our calendar. We were committed. We were ready. They pulled the plug on us. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You have to watch on Light tomorrow and Thursday at 8 p.m.
We were disappointed, but it was nice to go out and be a race fan. Sat there with Angie and got to watch the races, got to watch Connor go out there and do his thing in the crates. So that was good fun.
He didn't suck. He
Folks, this weekend at Peterborough, more so than ever, please say hello if you see us going by. We actually feel bad because quite often we don't know people we're talking to. Like, we see people around all the time, and it seems to be more so when we travel a little bit further away. So please, by all means, just say
Lots of times, I'll bring pictures back to Adam. Adam, who is this guy? I see him everywhere, but he said hi to me today. I don't know who he is. We appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Rob, to answer you, officially, we both sucked. We need a redemption day at Flamborough or in something. I want Fletcher on my box because my car was way too loose. They gave me the dirt setup going in, and you can't be loose at Flamborough on the cushion because, as John said earlier, there ain't one. And you backing in, the only thing you're backing into is that white and red fence. So, we appreciate everybody. Thanks, Chris Lawrence, for letting us drive your cars. Sorry I wrecked one. Sorry Adam hit the wall, but great show. Thanks to everybody for being with us. We'll see you at Autumn Colors this weekend. If you can't be there, make sure you catch us live on G-Force. Talk to you soon.